Hi, everyone, and welcome to the WIIM Podcast. Women in Influencer Marketing is a first of its kind exclusive networking group made up of inspirational women. This podcast is where we explore influencer marketing and get real about women in business. Find us wherever you download podcasts, and of course, you can always find us at IamWIIM.com. That's IamWIIM.com. Hey guys, how's it going? So in our Instagram stories last week, I was sharing with you guys how I've been sort of struggling a little bit creatively. There's like so much going on in the back end of our business here at WIIM. And I was chatting with a friend of mine about that. And I was like, oh, I'm overwhelmed sort of right now in this like very pivotal transitional process that we're in. Um, and I'm just like, I don't know what to talk about, like what to share on our Instagram or what to share on our YouTube and creating podcasts and all that stuff. And I just feel stuck. And I know that some of you, probably a lot of you, can resonate with this as like fellow small business owners, right? Like you want to make sure that you're creating social media content and just like living up to the fun part of your business, the public facing version. There's a lot going on in your business on any given day. So I spoke with a friend of mine and I asked him, I was like, what do I do? How do I get unstuck? Like, what do I do? I feel very stuck. He said to me, he's like, talk about that. Just talk about that. And I was like, but I don't know that anybody really wants to hear about that. Like, that just seems like the boring part of the business, right? Like, who would want to actually hear about that? He told me probably a lot of people, but if you don't believe me, just share a poll on your Instagram stories and ask. So we did last week. And overwhelmingly, you guys said that you would want to hear a little bit of the behind the scenes of WIIM. So that's cool. That's exciting for me to hear. I definitely feel like less stressed about sharing this with you guys and I guess like coming up with creative content and stuff because I could just be real and honest with you guys. So that's what this episode is going to be. It's just a solo episode chatting with you guys about sort of what's going on behind the scenes at WIIM. If you're new to the show, occasionally I'll do a solo episode, but for the most part, they're interviews. If you're looking for just that content, I will not be offended if you pause this episode and go to most of our other ones. We had a few really great conversations, especially lately with some incredible guests. But if you are a fellow small business owner or even any sort of business owner, and you want to see if we have something in common here and can relate to the stress of running a company, then I hope you stick around. So one big thing in particular has been our website. So just to clue you guys in, our current website, if you go to IamWIIM.com, I pretty much exclusively created that website entirely on my own. Now, I am a child of the 80s and 90s. So we had like GeoCities. So like I've had an interest in this and just sort of like grew up in this since I was like, 10 to 15 years old, right? So the idea of creating a website of my own at the time seemed both intriguing and like I could learn. And I always love learning. But to be fully transparent with you, it seemed like the most economical option, something that I was capable of doing. And so it just made like the most sense because this was like in the very middle of the worst part of the pandemic when I just didn't feel like dropping thousands of dollars to have somebody do this for me was the right move. To be completely honest with you, it was a very scary time in my life, which I'm sure so many of you could relate to, where things were just so uncertain. And spending that much money was just not something that I was comfortable with. So that's the real reason why I built the site on my own. And I did so much research. I completely learned WordPress on my own. I completely learned it's called Divi. It's like Divi Builder. It's like a website builder on my own. I hired somebody from like a Facebook group to like set up the bare bones basics, so that I could have a foundation to start off of at least because I don't really know how to do that. And I went and did it. Yeah, I did a research on like a membership plugin and all the plugins that you need. I've learned so much about WordPress, and that was how we built the site that we have today. Cut to, a year and a half into having WIIM be what it is today, which is so much more than when it started. And I feel like, I'm living out, like, some of my wildest dreams, and it's incredible to see, like, the success that we've had and the people that we've attracted and just the membership component of the business go well. So, it's like the end of 2021 at this point, and I'm like, "All right, like, what's the smartest way to invest back into the business?" And for me, I just felt like the number one thing that I wanted to do was to hire a really great company to completely redo the website, because sure, I needed it to be aesthetically pleasing because we're in a business about branding, and so it's really, really important to me that we present well and present like a professional organization that we are in, social media. Just needed to look really freaking good. But in addition to that, I have always really I need like a good user experience because once we get members, if their experience is so terrible in on our website and accessing things and just like it seems crappy, like they're like, I don't want to pay for this. Like this is a garbage product. Now, cut to present day, for the past like 5 months, we've been in the process of completely redoing the site. 5 months is a long time. The company that I'm working with is wonderful, but there were some hiccups along the way for sure. And as much as I wanted this website to be live already, oh my gosh, have I wanted it to just be freaking live already? And we put hours of work into it. I don't want to put out a bad product. And I would honestly like, I'd rather tame my impatient nature, my impatientness, which isn't a word, and just wait for the right product to be released and to be completed, or at least be like 90% completed. So we had another call yet again this morning. We always have like a touch base on Monday mornings. And it's getting there. We're putting finishing touches on it. It just gives me a sense of like uneasiness, the fact that it's not ready yet, because I've been talking about it. Oh, nervous laughter for a long time. So it's the struggles of owning a business, right? The other piece is just like thinking about like where should we go with this company? Um, I don't know if you guys are aware of the organization called Chief, but Chief, and there's a few members of WIIM that are also members of Chief. It's been on my radar for a long time. They did a very good job of PR, and Chief is essentially a membership organization for like female executive level people in all of a wide variety of industries. But it's a membership organization just like this. It costs way more. But theoretically, they're executives. And so either they can afford it or their companies they can expense it to their companies or what have you. It's networking opportunities, it's educational, like there are definitely some synergies with this. And so with WIM. And so like it's been on my radar for a while and I've sort of um been very intrigued for a variety of reasons. Fun fact, the company that's doing our website actually did theirs. And that was a big draw for me to go with them. And I don't know if any of you are aware, but Chief just got valued at, I think, like $1.1 billion like a week or two ago. I bring that up to A, say that's freaking amazing. And to B, just to say that as a business owner, I'm sort of wondering like, what do I want to do with WIIM? Like, where do I want to take this? I work with an incredible business coach who has not only helped me with this business, but helped me with my last business that has since sold. She is unbelievable. She's actually coming on the podcast again for a second time really soon. And if you guys are interested in hearing what we've already recorded, I'll link the episode that she was on in the show notes of this episode. And also keep an eye out for her next one. But she's always asking me like, what do you want to do with that? What do you want to do with WIM? Like, where do you want to take it? Because it's a great question as a business coach, because her advice is dictated on what my desires are. And I think when we first started working together, which was a few months ago, I told her, I was like, like I'm sort of happy living where we are presently. Like I'm happy just learning all the time and like listening to our members and seeing where this goes and sort of feeling it out. But I don't have this strong desire to like build it really, really fast and sell it like that. I just don't actually. That's like the last of what I want right now. And there's so many components to WIM that I wanna feel really confident that we're helping people. I think that's the main thing that I communicated to her, but I couldn't really share more. And so she keeps pushing and asking questions and checking in with me about the answer to that question, and I think I have a little bit more of a sense now for sure, but the main thing is, like, I want for this I want for our product, like our membership, to feel welcoming. I want it to feel as if we're supportive. And I want us to feel like such a neat knit community. I have been thinking the last couple weeks, it's come up a variety of times of like the people that I looked up to when I was coming up, like out of college and my first few jobs. And I just never had good role models for like business, for like in life. Like that was not my story. My story is observing a lot of things that I don't want to do, and which is helpful. Now I know what not to do, and I know to go in the opposite direction. And I have like a really great spidey sense of like toxic behavior and just like toxicity in general. And so it's just freaking so important for me to like build this organization to be that pillar that I never had. That was the impetus to start the group in the first place. I was looking for a resource that I didn't have. I was looking for a community that I didn't know about and that just didn't exist. And I just want to create a group that fills all the holes that were just empty in my life. That sounds so depressing, but like it's honestly the truth. I've asked a lot of women on this podcast or just in general, like what's their business why? And everybody gives very different answers. And I would ask you, like, what is your business why? Why do you do what you do? Why do you spend so much time and energy investing in work that you do on a daily basis? And I put a lot of thought into it myself. And I think my answer is that I just want to create something that I never had. And for selfish reasons and giving benevolent reasons. I would love to experience some things that I had never had in my life, like a supportive community, and like resources and mentorship and education, like, and that's what we're doing. Like that's my why. It's for me, and of course it's for like the next generation of women so that they don't have to go through what I went through. That's the truth. It's not very flashy or exciting, but it's, like, very honest. So, we're trying to do that. I feel, like, a little lost, if I'm being honest, about, like, how to do that. We're really investing in these master classes in the membership, which I think have the potential to be fantastic, but we're sort of fine tuning, like getting the right people, making sure those people, are creating master classes that are like up to par with what I'm hoping to give our members. I really want to invest more in these community connect events that we have every single month and make sure that everybody's feeling like they're leaving having, really thankful that they spent the last hour with WIIM. It used to just be like a go around, introduce yourself, and like that was it. And people came and showed up, and I'm so grateful for that. But like, I left and I was like, I wouldn't come back to this. Like, I don't know. Like, it was okay. It was all right. I certainly wouldn't be excited to come back to it. So, what we've done the past couple of months is just like an open chat about a specific topic. And it was somebody else's idea in the group. And I love it. I love it. I struggle with like trying to facilitate the conversation, but I really just want to sort of step back and give our members the space to feel comfortable and to just converse with each other and like exchange ideas. Last month we talked a bit about mental health and work and balance and how to draw boundaries. It was a very interesting conversation, but there was so much more to be discussed. And so I'm learning just like how to facilitate those conversations because my goal would be that like you go to a networking event, quote unquote, but like you feel as if you left really like really truly connecting with these women and solving some real problems, that are really genuinely going to help us all. So we're working on that. The mentorship program, just getting more and more great people involved and need to just encourage more of our members to take advantage of it. The castings we've evolved, WIIM cast that is. So, we used to have this whole take form and it would be emailed and it was just a little disjointed and it felt like we were sort of inserting ourselves into these castings a little too much because as a former talent manager, my goal is to always just build relationships and I felt like there was an opportunity there that we were missing. So, in order to facilitate not just the casting, but also the relationship, which is such a huge component of it and sort of like a point of distinction of with WIM, is that all the castings now are going through this one Slack channel. So it's like fully transparent. It's not this like anonymous person casting. It's like this member is casting this partnership and here are the details and like respond in the thread. Just like talk about it like humans, like we're not robots. And like it shouldn't just be like, yeah, send a list. And it's just like this thoughtless list without any humanity to it. The goal is that we have the Slack board and we're helping facilitate it just like on a functional level, but that by sort of like bringing both parties a little bit closer together, it's facilitating the casting, but also the possibility for more of a relationship to form. So that's also a new change. Um, we're also doing the podcast. This podcast, I really want to expand it and grow it. We've been approached by like at this point like three different podcast networks to join their network. And first of all, I'm so humbled to be asked that. This podcast literally started 3 years ago, first of all, about 3 years ago, probably maybe even more at this point. I'm not exactly sure of the year that we started, but it's been about 3 years. I don't know, it seemed like WIM should have had a podcast. Like Somebody else who was very active in the group helped me start it, and she agreed. And so I was like, "Yeah, let's freaking do it." And we used to record in a studio in the city in Manhattan, and, it was just very off the cuff, and oh, no, we sort of got into it, to be honest, without, like, thinking too much about it. Just her and I were fans of podcasts, and it sounded like an interesting concept. I can't honestly believe that it's, like, 3 years later, like, over 100 episodes later, and we're still doing this. Um, but this is maybe something that other business owners listening right now may resonate with. I genuinely enjoy the podcast, like, so much. It's definitely one of my personal favorite parts of WIIM. Why? Because, like, I just get to invite really interesting people on and get to know them and ask questions, and, like, I'm just, like, a very innately curious person, and, I don't know, it lights me up. I genuinely love the podcast, or else there's no way I would have been able to do this on a weekly basis for 3 years. I don't do anything that repetitively. Here's the issue is that, like, I've just been doing it, and sure, we've been making improvements along the way. Like, now we have the video version of the podcast that we also share on YouTube, and, I've gotten better equipment over the years, and stuff like that, but it hasn't changed much, and the output is probably more than what we're getting in return. Um, but that being said, podcasts are hard to measure. And I'm sure if you're a business owner, you may have a podcast or you may just have like other marketing efforts, and like they're hard to quantify and measure. Um, and so I am trying to do a good job of thinking critically about spending all this time doing the podcast. Like, is it worth it for the business? Can I and I think the answer is definitely yes. And so with that being yes, it's like, what more should I be doing with it? Like, how can I grow it to a certain extent, but like more just make it even better? I don't know. We're never gonna attract like, hundreds of thousands of people. Like, maybe one day as the industry continues to grow, but like that's not the that's not on my radar right now. It's really just attracting always like quality women who are passionate about this industry. And so with that being said, it's never really been like a numbers play, although like it would be nice to not see our numbers go down because that means that people are tuning out, but more so the quality of the show and just getting good guests and improving my skills as an interviewer, which has definitely been an exciting journey, but a journey nonetheless. So I brought up podcast network. So yes, we've been approached by like 3 at this point to join their network. It's incredibly humbling, and we're probably going to be joining one fairly soon, which is really, really cool to say. And I hope that it really adds to the show. We are actively hiring, which is one of the most difficult things to do. It's ironic, of course, because aside from WIM, which is takes up like 90% of my week at least, I also do consulting on the side. So one of those things is that I do recruiting of influencer marketers. So it's ironic, right? Like, I'm so aware of how difficult it is to hire because I was a business owner like for the last bunch of years. We had a team of like 12 people at one point. So I know how difficult it is to hire and then retain people. And we're in that process right now. Of course, the irony of it is like, I'm helping to recruit for others. Well, I will tell you this, it is so much easier to like support other people's businesses, but your own business is just a whole other story. It's so much more personal. This is so exciting though. I shared this on our Instagram stories that we just got another person hired at a great company. And this is actually the second time that I got her a job, which is wild. They connected through WIM and she got hired, which is fantastic. And then it's been 2+ years and we reconnected again as I was looking to source for this new role. And this is the first time she's going to be making six figures. And it's just like, oh, that's some of the most rewarding work ever. It's unbelievable to be able to like have someone take the next big step in their career. It's so freaking cool. So, um, yeah, the recruiting stuff is really interesting. But yes, I'm in the middle of trying to hire great new people for WIIM, which is like wild and exciting, but daunting. We have one fantastic, like, community manager right now that she's been with us for, like, probably going on, like, I don't know, like, 5, 6 months or so, probably, like, 5 months at this point, and she's fantastic. You'll see her around our Slack, and, you might be emailing with her. Her name is Wendy. And yeah, we're looking for, some people to run our social media. We're looking for some people to help with like graphic design. I also have like a freelance, videographer, an editor that we've been using for all of our master classes, but sort of looking for support in terms of like running our events and coming up with events and podcast support, and like there's so many aspects of this business that I don't think a lot of people fully understand, but why would they? And that was the whole impetus of this episode to like share a little bit, I guess, behind the scenes with you guys. I'm so curious, like, what you guys are currently experiencing, the ones who are business owners. I recently was speaking with one of the talent managers in our organization who is sort of wanting to take her business to the next level. And I'm so proud of her because I've seen her go through it working for another company and then starting her own. And she's doing fantastic. And I think that she said, she's like, I finally got to the point where like, I want to be smart about my next step. I feel like you feel when the next step comes along, and she's looking to hire like a financial planner and a business coach and all these things. And it's so important to just surround yourself with the right people, good people, honest people who are really intelligent enough to ask the right questions and to really truly help you take the most strategic next steps that will get you to where you want to go. So, I hear about that with her business, and I'm curious for those of you who have your own businesses, like, do you feel as if you're trying to get your feet under you still? You're in that sort of phase of your business? Or do you have this inkling that like there's version 2 or version 3, 4, 5 of your business that's coming up next, and you're trying to sort of set yourself up for that? Or are you perfectly happy and just coasting? Oh, I wanna get to that place. Or do I? I actually like, I say that, and I don't actually know that that's true. I do. I enjoy the building of a company. I enjoy the problem solving and going through all the challenges and figuring out all the solutions. Like, I like a puzzle. And I enjoy learning about, new ways to do things. I'm someone, some people are very adverse to change. I love change. I love change. It actually makes me feel very calm because change to me equals like forward progress. And that to me is a sense that like it's all going well. So with all that being said, guys, this is our solo episode for the week. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's a bunch of rambling, but just sort of being honest with you guys and opening up a little bit more about what we're working on here and my struggles and just my thoughts about everything in the company. Um, I thank you so, so much for listening and for tuning in this week. We do have a lot of great guests coming up. And we'll be doing some more solo episodes just like this one as well. So have a wonderful rest of your week, guys. If for some reason this is the first episode you've ever tuned into, thank you. I hope you took something from it too. And as always, you could check out our website to learn more about WIIM and our membership and all the cool things that we offer to women in influencer marketing. It's iamwim.com. That's IAMWIIM.com. All right, guys, I will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
If you enjoyed this episode, we gotta have you back. Check out our website for more ways to get involved, including all the information you need about joining our collective. You can check out all the information at IamWIIM.com. Leave us a review, a rating, but the most important thing that we could ask you to do is to share this podcast.
Thanks for listening.
Tune in next week.
Tune in next week.